Are you daydreaming about a different life? Probably not satisfied with where you are at in this moment. Or could there be something more to daydreaming? If you stick around, we're about to find out. Okay, great. Let me bring my co-host on board. Hello, Moniel.
Hello,
Welcome.
Linda. Hello, and
Moniel's going to set the scene for us about daydreaming today. Very excited about that.
I'm also excited, Linda, and I enjoyed your trailer a lot.
Great, fantastic. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in.
Thank you, Linda. Let's see if we are able to assist with daydreaming. So the topic is, how does daydreaming help you cope with reality? And we are going to dissect that little by little by little by little. So there we say why understanding your daydream is important. And below it, we have got the point, does your life have meaning? And all of this relates to daydreaming. I would be fascinated to hear any questions in the chat. So all of what I'm about to say relates to daydreaming and why and how we daydream. The next point is, do you yearn for a different life? And the next one is, does something feel missing? And so we go on to, do you easily get bored? And your life is unique, is as unique to you as your fingerprint. And then we go further and we ask the question, are you living your uniqueness? And the second last one is creating the perfect balance between mind and body is the path of your unique life, not to your unique life, but of your unique life. And then right at the end, we say, and you evolve in a peace. Now, what I'd like to just do here for a moment is, what has daydreaming got to do with the points that I placed on the screen in the last half a minute? So we daydream, in principle, we daydream because we find ourselves somewhere and we'd rather not be there. And I'm not talking of a physical place, I'm talking of in our mind, what we are busy with is something that we'd rather not be busy with. And automatically, then our mind starts wandering. And when I dissected that to the nth degree in my own life, I looked at the daydreams. So I find myself somewhere. I then realized, but I'm daydreaming. And when I looked at that, I eventually saw in the daydream, I saw where I would have rather wanted to be, which inspires the daydreaming. So when you look at daydreaming, you're going to find all sorts of reasons why we daydream, that it's not healthy, that we need to stop messing about and do what we're supposed to be doing. Now, we are going to give you an insight today that's different to what I'm certain you have heard before. And we are going to draw that line from you are busy with and at a place where you'd rather not be, and then you find yourself daydreaming, and the parallel there, or the line that we could draw from that, is where would you then rather be, and how do you know where you would rather be? And that's going to be our journey today, the presentation journey. And stick around. Let's see if you make any sense of what we are going to be saying. Linda? Thank you, Linda. Any chance of that you want to add to that? Otherwise, please show the agenda so that I'm able to specify the route of the journey. But I'm sure you might have something that you want to add or ask.
No, not at this stage, Amano. I'll just bring up the agenda for us.
Thank you very much. So the point that we covered now was why understanding your daydreams is important. The next one we're going to cover is why recognize your daydreams. And the third point is why understand your daydreams have an undercurrent. Now, the topic of 2 and 3 is related to questions that we researched of what people are asking about. Linda, if Pierre is here and is able to, I would like him just to visit us here in the studio, and just so that I could speak to him about his research. Hi, Pierre. So Pierre is our resident researcher. He looks at what people ask for when they refer to daydreams. And of course, he's very busy with that research. Pierre, do you want to maybe just add something to what I said? Okay, Pierre's sound is obviously not
Yeah,
working.
Pierre, I think you're on mute. There we go.
Yes, Emmanuel. In my research on the daydreaming, I picked up that people are definitely looking inwards and trying to figure out for themselves what their daydreams are about. But there's so little information out there about this. So this is definitely a topic that is worth delving deep into and dissecting so we can get to the core and the heart and the root of our daydreams.
Okay, thank you, Pierre. Right, then let me continue. Linda, please just bring back the agenda. So when you look at point number 2 and 3, why recognize your daydreams and why understand your daydreams have an undercurrent, is based on the research that Pierre did. And we are going to have a look step by step at what he found. And then what we are going to show you is under point number 4, Peace Evolution's recipe. We have a recipe for you to understand your daydreaming. And then also point number 5 there is how do you recognize your purpose? So we are going to take a slow step-by-step journey looking at these different points and give you an understanding of daydreaming. I'm going to start now with the next point. So the first one we covered was why understand your daydreams is important. And now we're going to go into why recognize your daydreams. And here we are. So the first point that we're going to look at there is, if we look carefully there, haven't yet uncovered our meaning. So this is an abstract point. It implies that the person is saying, I haven't yet uncovered my meaning. And that is why we should recognize our daydreaming. The next one is underlying feelings in our daydreams. Our daydreams also conjure up feelings. Now, I'd like to add further that do the daydreams conjure up feelings, or do we daydream based on our feelings? So is the daydream a consequence of the feeling, or the other way around? Which is why we talk of the undercurrent. The importance of self-belief. Now, I said earlier that we find ourselves at a place or doing something that we'd rather not do. And that feeds into, do we have the self-confidence to not be or do the things we'd rather not do? And that is about self-confidence. But now the question is, where do we get the ultimate self-confidence that we put ourselves at places where we want to be? And I'm not talking of a physical place. And also that we do what we would be wanting to do. So those are the two things. The moment we find ourselves in any circumstances that we'd rather not be, we are going to daydream. And what we need to look at is, why do we put ourselves in places where we'd rather not be, or be doing things we'd rather not do? And that relates to the point there, the importance of self-belief. Have I got the self-belief to say, why am I doing this? Or the place where I'm at, do I really want to be here? Whatever that place is, and I'm not necessarily talking of a physical place. If we look at that point there, the next one is dictated by society. So do we have the confidence and the self-belief to say, no, what I'm doing with my life is written in my heart. And as a consequence, I would not be dictated to by society. Society might say, if you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this. Your partner might be saying that, your school teacher might be saying that, your government might be saying that. Anybody who is now saying something which you feel you have to comply with, we need to see, is there enough self-belief that you say, oh, that doesn't suit me, and I'm not here talking of being an activist. I'm just saying, have you ever wondered about your lifestyle? Is that really the lifestyle that you would want to be living? And also, I already mentioned this. Why do I daydream? I daydream because I find myself doing things that I'd rather not be doing. Now my daydream reflects the things that I would want to do. I just want to put a caution here and put a caveat on it. We don't understand our daydreams. Therefore, the understanding we have comes from our frame of reference. It comes from the dogmas. It comes from certain things we believe we should be doing. And those are not the things written in our heart. And we are slowly building the case for you to get an understanding of your heart and to see, why do you daydream? The next one is that we'd like to be mentioning here is recognize your purpose or find your purpose. These are all things people relate to and ask about. And that is part of why recognize your daydream. So why is it important to recognize your daydream? And then also we speak about crafting a vision. Have you and are you living your life based on a vision? Are you living your life as unique to you as your fingerprints? These are all the things we're covering throughout this presentation. You are the creator. Now, that is an interesting topic. Are you confident enough to say, my life is about me? Not from an arrogant point of view, but from understanding your life to the extent that you bring meaning as opposed to wanting to extract meaning. Now, bringing meaning is possible 100%. Extracting meaning is not possible 100%. So you are the creator, and somewhere, and maybe you're going to see it now on the screen, just maybe, we talk about you don't need anything first to be yourself. Now, the whole idea is if you don't need anything, and people have said to me, I need money, I need this, people have given me so many things. That's the one, Linda. Thank you. Just a moment. Leave it there for a bit, please, while I waffle onto this point. So, if I'm the creator of my life and I need nothing first to be myself, it means then I create, I innovate, I do the things to bring my meaning, to bring my value. And of course, then I would not be in a place where I daydream. I would not be in a place where I need to go and conjure up something else, because moment for moment and breath for breath, I am being me. No need to jump out and to find it in some daydream. And then we look at this one, a hugely difficult and important one, balancing time and money. So as it stands, and most of my life was about making money. And I thought if I had enough money, I would be able to do what I want. And then I discovered doing what I want is different to liking what I do. And when I like what I do need is money to pay the bills. I then have a certain way of life where the car or the house or the clothing or the shoes or the accessories or following some designer or my partner or even having children is not about meaning. It does not bring any value to my life. And consequent to that, we need to balance making money and our time when making money is not the most important thing anymore. And going further, think about this. If you are the creator and if you need nothing first to be yourself, and then you recognize that and you say, yes, this is for me. This is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. This is why something feels missing. This is why I yearn for a different life. this is what is about my life's meaning, you then automatically think about this. Look at this point. If I'm doing all the things I'm doing to find and extract meaning, I would even devastate the Amazon. I'm giving you an excessive example. I like to exaggerate my examples to show the point. However, when I'm bringing my meaning, what would meaning be? And this is what we are about. And that meaning would be as unique to you as your fingerprint. And therefore, the outflow of that automatic, you cannot help this. Automatically, you are then the healing of humanity. So it starts with the healing of myself. I then automatically need anything to be me. Very similar to the previous one, but there you have it. And they just magically appear on the screen. And the next point is be witness to how you feel. Do you stop ever and be witness to how you feel? Be witness to what you are experiencing. Do you realize you put yourself in places where you'd rather not be? And remember, I'm not talking of a physical place, but it does not exclude a physical place. Let's look at that next one. Are your actions for the benefit of everyone and everything? Think about this. If I do all the things that we do to extract some value from it, versus I'm living my meaning, I'm living my purpose as unique to me as my fingerprint, the daydreaming stops. And what comes in its place, everything we do benefits everyone, including myself, and everything. We would not destroy the Amazon. And I'm giving, as I said earlier, excessive examples. Here's a thing that I didn't know existed, and that was my journey started with what is the meaning of my life? That's where it started. And after digging and digging and digging, I got to a point where what we're talking about today evolved from that understanding. And during that journey, it was an idea of getting to know myself. I ultimately wanted to know, well, what am I about if it's not about money? Why do I have these daydreams? And the earliest daydream that I remember was round about the age of 10 years old. Already at 10 years old, roughly 10, it could have been 9, it could have been 11, it could even have been 7. I had my first daydream, which the undercurrent of the daydream eventually, when I understood myself well enough, I saw was at the bottom of what my life is really about, as unique to me as my fingerprint. Then we look at other things, and that is what society expects from you. So we are all expected to behave in a certain way, and if we don't, people frown on us. We are even without the self-belief to say, whatever I did now, or wherever I find myself now, is that something, if I had a choice, that I would have done or not have done? So what society expects of you, is that really something that you should be concerned about? And that's a very interesting topic, which we are going to touch on a little bit more later on. Look at that one. Our chosen life. If my life is as unique to me as my fingerprint, Did somebody say or something say, here's medicine, have it because this is what your life is about? Or did we ourselves say, this is what my life is about? Therefore, our chosen life is what I chose myself. The consequence, if it's not, means I am just a puppet of something or someone. Could it be? Is it bearable to understand? Do we have the courage to understand that our chosen life was chosen by ourselves? And then this point here awakens within you. The daydreaming comes from there's a part of you that would rather not be doing what it's doing. And we are going to assist you to awaken that within you. What causes daydreams? That's all I've been speaking about now for a little while. What causes daydreams? It's the fact that we are somewhere and doing something that we'd rather not do. Now our mind says, oh, wait, I prefer to do this. And it's important to be able to understand that, because we are not able to understand that truly for ourselves. Let me give an example. Let me give a relevant and appropriate example. If we look at the cluster homes that we stay in, if we look at the supermarkets that we go to, all of those are done from a money motive, a money-making motive. But the source of that idea of staying, let's say, in a cluster village or in an estate, that's about a community. However, we stay there, but we don't know our neighbors. The source of that idea of a cluster complex or an estate, or let's even say a block of apartments, comes from an understanding of a community. But because we have a money motive, and a profit motive, we don't get where that source of that idea comes from. Let's look at our shopping centers. Because we see it from a money and profit motive, we don't see that the source of that idea comes from community. I'm going now to do my shopping with my community, but I go there and I just charge from one place to another and get upset with the littlest thing in my way as I'm charging to do my chores, whatever they are, while I'm at the shopping center. We don't understand that it's not a money motive. The underlying idea is, let's say, just roughly, I don't want to speak for other people, but the principle is it's about community. Now, the estate living or the cluster living or the apartment living is the furthest from that. Our shopping malls, the furthest from that. What do daydreams reveal about you? It reveals about you where you'd rather be. And if we are able to understand, and we are not able to understand our daydreams. And there's a very specific reason, and we're coming to that in a moment. The outcome is that we then daydream, and it reveals to you where you would rather be, what you would rather be doing. But because we don't understand our daydreams, that's the furthest from our minds. And in certain cases, the daydreaming is even seen that we are not well. And that is the furthest from the reality that you could think of. Let's have a look at this one. Do smart people daydream? Everyone daydreams. Absolutely everyone daydreams. Smart people daydream. Not so smart people also daydream. But there isn't such a notion as somebody is smart or somebody is not smart. It's just a matter of, due to our societal standards and norms and our dogmas and our frame of reference, we do not understand that it's not about I have, therefore I am somebody, or I'm good enough, or I am not a failure. And we, as a consequence, don't see everyone. Remember, we said a little bit earlier, let me see. Yes, here we are. We said the benefit is what we do as an example for the benefit of everyone and everything. We don't think like that. I want, I must have, I cannot not do this. I have to because it's going to say something about me. And there's nothing to say about you. We are all beautiful people. We are all here as every component in this hand is here to make this hand work marvelously and autonomously and magically. But we don't see that. And consequently, all people daydream. And that is part of yearning for a different life. Something feels missing. My life does not have meaning, etc. So we've come to the end of this section, which is why recognize your daydream. So I now explored what people are asking about, and I packaged that in why recognize your daydream. I've said a lot now. Let's see if Linde has anything further to add, and else. Right, and Linde magically appears.
Thank you for sharing all of that. Sure, there were quite a few amazing things that you just mentioned. The one being right in the beginning, you said, do your daydreams conjure up your feelings, or is it your feelings that create your daydreams? So that's immediately for me that it's an internal journey. It's not something that's outside of yourself. And really looking at where you find yourself, that you're in a place that you'd rather not be in your life, and questioning, why do we put ourselves in these places where we don't want to be? And you said something really beautiful that stood out for me, and that is, what I do with my life is written on my heart. That was just so beautifully said. And then I want you to just perhaps maybe elaborate a little bit on, you said that daydreams reflect the things that I want, but we need to be careful because our perception here could be skewed. There's something you mentioned about doing what I want is different to liking what I do. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Okay, thank you, Linde, and also for recognizing and acknowledging those specific points. Linde, so I'm going to draw the answer from my own life and as I journeyed, where I thought I did what I wanted. I thought that's what it was about. Therefore, I would need lots and lots of money to do what I want. I want to do this or I want to do that. What I found was that is the furthest from reality and what I really wanted. and that was liking what I do. Now, there's a difference between, it's not just a play on words, there's a difference between liking what I do and doing what I want. Now, our understanding of our daydreams is based on, I'm going to just say this, it's based on the principle of yearning for a different life. Underlying, why do we yearn for a different life? Why do we feel something is missing? So if we take those 2 points, I'd like to say I have those thoughts, the yearning for a different life. I have that yearning. I feel something is missing because I'm missing in my life. I'm not there. What of me is there is what I perceive I need to be based on society's norms and the reference framework that I have, how my parents, the school, the church, whoever developed in me a certain understanding of how I should be, which is also why we say there's no manual. How should I know how to live my life if there's no manual? But you have a manual. Each one of us has a manual. We just don't know we have it. Now, consequently, the yearning for a different life and something feels missing is at the heart of that we don't understand our daydreams. Linda, I waffled on a little bit. Did I answer your question, or is there still something that you'd like me to elaborate on?
No, you did, Emmanuel. And it made me think about what you said, your daydream that you discovered as a child. And I often think as children, you know, I'm thinking about my own childhood dreams. It was never about making money. It was about bringing myself to my life. And yeah, so no, that's interesting. And the good news is that we choose our life and we create it, like you said, on quite a few points that we are the creators of our life. And that's really beautiful for me. So yes, no, thank you. You shared everything that you needed to, and great. We can move on from that. Should I bring up the agenda again for us?
Yes, Linda, let's do that. Thank you. And also for sharing the points that you did.
Sure.
Right. So the next one so we now looked at why recognize your daydreams. I said, I spoke about why. I also spoke about that we don't understand it. And let's now look at point number 3 there. Why understanding your daydreams have an undercurrent. So our daydreams have an undercurrent. I used the 2 examples of the shopping malls, but we don't get where that idea originated from. I also spoke about our cluster living, the apartments that we live in. I also spoke about the estate living, and we don't understand at the bottom of it. It's about community. It has nothing to do with a money motivation. But because that's where we are with our lives, we think everything is about money. Now, we are going to have a look at why understand your daydreams have an undercurrent. So, let's say the estate living or the shopping malls or the apartments, it's not about money. There is something else that is the undercurrent. We're going to look at what people ask about that point. So the next thing I'd like to look at is, here we are. So look at that. Why understand your daydreams have an undercurrent? We understand our daydreams, and out of the feelings we have, we create the daydream, and we create it from our frame of reference. It's based on our frame of reference. And then let's say that you have a daydream, and if I use the shopping malls, it's about community. That's why we have that. However, we think it's a profit motive. In your own case, have a look at your daydreams, and you could see that it's not in the example about the profit motive. Let's have a look at it's based on your frame of reference. We already mentioned why do we daydream? The question that people are asking is now just slightly different, but we spoke about that. Also, doing what I like. Now, we could say doing what I like, doing what I want. And I'm asking, is that the same as liking what I do? And it's not just a play on words. So that point there is doing what I like. Now, in my daydream, I daydream about this, I daydream about that, I daydream about the other thing. And please bear in mind, they have an undercurrent, and we are looking at our daydreams not from the undercurrent stance. We yearn for something. Let's have a look at that. Yearning for something. We yearning for something. So we somewhere where we'd rather not be, where we're doing what we'd rather not do, and we are yearning for something. And we think that something that we are yearning for is about the fact of the matter. Instead, it is not understood how that daydreaming is born. So people are also asking, live a life of meaning. That was my question many, many years ago. I didn't feel my life had meaning. So where we say here, if we understood that our daydreams have an undercurrent, we now beginning to see that what we are also yearning for is a life of meaning. Now let's have a look at this. Of course, this is my pet topic, the root cause. So we understand the shopping mall to be a profit motive, and that's a complete misunderstanding of where that daydream comes from. The first person who invented a shopping mall, and everyone who subsequently invented a shopping mall or designed a shopping mall, it must have this, it must have this, it must have that. And some shopping malls are truly marvelous. And it is developed today out of treating the symptom. That daydream has an undercurrent, and we need to understand the root cause of that daydream. Now, let me ask, do you find that you live your creativity? Moment for moment, you live your creativity, or are you caught up in a life where making money is ultra important, and as a result of that, we stifle our creativity? Let's have a look at this one. Clarity within. If I come back to point number 3 there, why understand your daydreams have an undercurrent? The understanding that our daydreams have an undercurrent reflects to us the clarity within is lacking. What about innovation and creativity? Are you living a life of creation and innovation and creativity? Are you getting out of your own way? So let's have a look at this. To be able to live our life as unique to us as our fingerprints, and the point we touched on earlier, self-belief, and I also at the time spoke about self-confidence. If we are getting in our way continuously, and our daydreams continuously reflect what we are daydreaming about, and those daydreams are not really understood by us at all, because if you were to understand that, you would address the daydream at what is the root cause of the daydream, and therefore are we then comfortable in realizing that I need to get out of my own way. Let's have a look at this one. Who are we at the core? Who are we at the source? Who are we when we are living our lives as unique to us as our fingerprints? There we say, you are the source of your life. And if you don't need anything to be yourself, then what are you able to create out of being the source of your life? So is your life today about creativity, about innovation? Is it about making money? Is it about using your creativity and your innovation to create, to make money? And yet still something feels missing. Yet still we yearn for a different life. Let's look at that one. So what we are speaking about here is if you are able to stand far enough back, we say we have daydreams for this reason. We also say we don't understand our daydreams. We also say that there is an undercurrent of the daydream, and we are not aware of that. We find ourselves in places where we'd rather not be, finding ourselves doing things we'd rather not do. However, as I'm sitting here and you're listening here to me, you do know this, but you don't know that you know this, because somewhere in your life, you locked yourself in your subconscious. Look at that, locked in our in our subconscious. So we are in fact fully known to us. That's why we yearn for a different life. That's why we feel something is missing, but we are locked away in our subconscious. Now, a life beyond the dream. Now, the life beyond the dream, when you are living your life as unique to you as your fingerprint, what I referred to earlier, we then automatically, our actions benefits everyone and everything. And if we take it a little further, we would also be healing, be part of the healing of humanity, start with ourselves. Because the moment we're able to move this out of the way, and we have brutal honesty to take our lives and live them as unique to us as our fingerprints, then of course is what the life after the dream would be. So I like to, as I said earlier, that life would be about inner peace. That life would be about healing ourselves and being part of healing humanity. The wars would stop. The Amazon destruction would stop. etc. I've mentioned a few of those now. Let's have a look at the next one. Do you from time to time yearn to make a difference? Have thoughts about making a difference? Daydream about making a difference? The thing is, we don't know how we think is the thought. Hang on, we're covering that momentarily. Let's look at this point. I touched on it a little bit earlier. I would say that daydreaming, under any circumstances, is 100% acceptable as long as we realize that daydream has an undercurrent. That daydream is not about our frame of reference, our standards and norms, etc. Let's look at that next one. Is daydreaming a disorder? Nope. Is daydreaming a disorder? Or is it an opportunity for us to understand ourselves better? Well, ultimately, not better, let's use that, let's drop that word. Is it an opportunity to understand ourselves? Let's look at this one. Do creative people daydream a lot? So now we spoke about smart people before. Now we are asking about, do creative people daydream a lot? I'm saying everybody daydreams. Even the person living in a cardboard box, even the homeless, even the street people, they all have daydreams. Linda, and that brings me to the end of this part 3.
Great, thank you for that, Emmanuel. Sure, you said a lot, and I have maybe just one or two things I would like to just highlight for us. I think in the next section, you'll probably talk a little bit more about this, but specifically about when we look at addressing the root cause instead of treating the symptoms. How does uncovering one's daydream apply to that, which I think you will cover in the next section. And then you said, which really stood out for me, is daydreaming is not about our frame of reference. So I just wanted to pause and really focus on that for a moment, because I think it's very important to stress that, well, the way I see it here, and maybe you can elaborate on it, Emmanuel, is that our frame of reference when we're daydreaming could be, oh, only if I had enough money, then I could do this. Only if I had a healthy body, I could do this. Only if I was fit enough, I could go climb that mountain, or whatever the daydream is about. So that is all based on our own frame of reference. But what you are sharing with us here today is you're saying that if we really go and look at it and really go and see what is underneath that, we will actually get a glimpse of how to live a meaningful life. Is that what we're saying? Well, that's pretty awesome. Okay, fantastic. So that's all I wanted to add to that. Let's bring our agenda up again.
Linda, again, thank you for the comments.
Pleasure.
And so now we're going to have a look. So listeners and viewers, please keep this in mind now. We've built a case. Slowly, I set the scene, then we built a case around the research work that Pierre does for us, where he has a look at what people are asking about this topic. And now through that, I elaborated what's behind daydreaming. Now we are going to have a look at Peace Evolution's recipe. So our organization is Peace Evolution, and we have a recipe, and we're now going to share that recipe here as the next point of focus. So there we are, Peace Evolution's recipe. Very first thing is, we spoke of other things earlier, but we say base your life on liking what you do. The next thing we say is, how do you recognize liking what you do? So let me just say, your daydreams are an excellent opportunity or opportunities to take a look. We then go into saying it starts with recognizing your uniqueness. You are as unique to yourself as your fingerprint. There's nobody else that has to offer humanity what you have. There's nobody else that has to offer yourself what you have. That also implies that you would recognize your purpose. That also implies, and this is a big thing, this is a big thing, this is a big thing. You recognize you are the source of your life. If you don't need anything first to be yourself, if your life is as unique to you as your fingerprint, if what your life is about is written in your heart, then does it go without saying that you are the source of your life? Nothing else is the source of your life. It's not some other one or some other thing. You are the source of your life. And we showed the two videos related to that, the one about not needing anything first, and the other one about you are the source of your life. And by the way, their links would be in the description of the replay video, the live replay, the live stream replay, and you would also see it in the playlist where we discuss these topics. And part of the recipe is you crafting your vision. Now, what I did in my case, once I saw what my daydream was at around about the age of 10, I then unraveled that through other daydreams that I had that all had the same similar, very similar, closely related undercurrent. And then I saw in my mind's eye my uniqueness. I also saw what I'm the source of. I also saw my purpose. Now, the thing is this, that is what we are speaking about here is not trivial. And to achieve this, you need courage and brutal honesty. Without courage and brutal honesty, and I'd like to add another thing, intent, you would not be able to recognize this. We are constantly revising our material and our vocabulary and our lexicon to make it easier and easier to understand, so that if you wanted to, you could start this journey for yourself. Now, out of me and that daydream of mine as a child, I then took and I described in words what that was. And I refer to that as crafting your vision. And that vision would be as unique to you, would be you live your unique life. Remember, I said earlier, your life is as unique to you as your fingerprint, and you would then craft your vision and live your unique life. So, how could it be that we live a life where we are about money? We were looking for any way to just make money. And during that process, uh, at the extreme, we are even willing to go to war. We are even willing to destroy the Amazon. We are even willing to profit from human trafficking. And quite the opposite is what your unique life is about. And nothing feels missing. And you stop yearning for a different life. One morning you would recognize, oh, I'm not yearning for a different life anymore. You live a life of meaning. Your life is about meaning. So this is our recipe that we are talking about. You also balance your lifestyle and liking what you do. There we are. There we are. We even reflecting the heart versus making enough money to pay the bill, for instance. You balance your lifestyle and liking what you do. You don't need money that you don't need. However, you need to pay the bills. Linda, and that brings us to the end of section 4.
Okay, great, fantastic, Emmanuel. I don't have anything to add to that, so we can jump into the next section.
Right.
To see where we're at.
So the next one is, how do you recognize your purpose? So we've been speaking and building the case, and now we're going to the heart of it. How do you recognize your purpose? And at Peace Evolution, we have the following offering. You follow our YouTube channel from the different videos we've put up on the screen. You see we've got the necessary content. We also have various playlists about the different topics that we have. And that is the one I mentioned there. We have a playlist, a YouTube related playlist about recognizing your purpose. Look at that. There, Linda shows all the different videos and the playlists. Well, not all, just a few that she's able to fit on the screen. Then there is also another part of our offering, the ebook Life Can Be Different. There we are, which describes what we are talking about here to a different level. And that ebook is available. The link is in the description. Then you could also subscribe to Peace Evolution's membership. At Peace Evolution, we refer to the first choice self, or the first choice life, as opposed to the second choice life. And we have subscription, 4 levels of subscription, 4 levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4. And it starts from recognizing your purpose all the way up to balancing, making money, and liking what you do. These are all from hard lived, actual life experience. It's not something from a book, it's from a real life experience. And as I said earlier, you wake up one morning and you realize nothing feels missing. You realize you stopped yearning for a different life. You see that you live a life of meaning, and also ultimately, and you evolve in a peace. And that is that.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And if you're watching the replay, we would love to hear from you, and especially giving us some feedback in the comment section. Even if you don't agree, that would be great. Okay, and that is all from us. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Emmanuel and Pierre. Thank you for your research that you've done on this wonderful topic. And stay tuned. There's lots more coming on our channel. So I hope to see you there. Take care. Take care.
Linde, and thank you for presenting everything.
It's an absolute pleasure.